I mailed cat poop to my friend's heinous ex-boyfriend.
Boom! Gotcha, Patrick.
Yeah. I slept with my horrible boss's girlfriend.
All right.
Let's see if it was justified. Welcome back to Delp Deck Stories. Today we have some revenge stories for you. Our first one comes from Valerie, and it is, what's the pettiest thing you've ever done, from our deep dive ball. I mailed cat poop to my friend's heinous ex-boyfriend.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
I'm into this.
All right, I'm down. In my early 20s, I lived with my friend Holly up until she met and moved in with her boyfriend Patrick. I really hated Patrick from the jump. He'd cancel plans with her last minute if something came along he wanted to do instead. He'd make a mess in our apartment and leave it for her to clean up.
This guy sounds like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
He sounds terrible.
Sounds like you should send some to this piece of shit.
Uh-huh.
He also constantly complained about Holly's cat Waffles. Oh, Waffles.
That's a cute name.
That's such a good name. I love Waffles.
I'm assuming that Waffles didn't like this guy, and Waffles is probably a good judge of character.
Yeah. Didn't like the cat jumping on him, didn't like getting her fur on his clothes. He was like, why do you even have this thing? Hating animals is a huge red flag to me, but Holly didn't seem concerned by it. I would say maybe one of the biggest red flags.
Yeah.
I hate that.
If you can't show love and appreciation to a pet or an animal, like,
You don't
something wrong
have
with
to be
you.
the type of person who's like, I want to own a pet.
Yeah.
That's fine if that's not for you.
Right.
But like just hating animals, that's...
Also, it's like, they can't help themselves. They're an animal, you know?
Yeah,
it's been
just
domesticated.
a sweet little cat named Waffles.
Yeah.
I need a cat named Waffles. About 6 months into dating, Patrick invited Holly to move in with him. I don't like where this is going with poor Waffles.
Mm-hmm.
The guy made a lot of money and had a nice big house, so she went for it. He complained that he was sick of hanging around our tiny apartment with the stupid cat. I tried to tactfully discourage this, but she was really focused on the idea of finding a husband and starting a family, and thought Patrick would be able to provide the lifestyle she wanted. He did not let her take Waffles along, so I ended up keeping her.
No.
That's insane. Also, Holly, you gave up your cat for a man?
Anyone who leaves a pet behind, because I've heard these stories too, which is when somebody moves, they're like, well, I can't take the animal, so I just leave it in the apartment or the house, which is like insane. And then anyone who's like, no, I choose this person over this pet that I had, and be like, no.
Or when people have kids,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, I've got to get rid of this animal now. It's
Sorry,
like,
you gotta get rid of these kids.
Yeah, it sounds like the thing that came second is the one that needs to go. So I ended up keeping her, which wasn't a huge deal for me since I liked the cat, and she'd kind of become our cat since we'd been living together. I was actually glad I got to keep her since I enjoyed her company, and I didn't want her living with Patrick anyway. Yeah, you got so lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm really obsessed with this cat. I just love the name Waffles. It's such a good cat name.
It's pretty good.
A few months after moving in with Patrick, Holly was diagnosed with cancer and was going to have to spend a lot of time in the hospital and do chemo.
Oh, God.
Oh
okay,
my
I already
God.
sense that Patrick is going to be like, well, got to cut my...
Oh my God.
And go.
This is why you pick the cat.
Yeah.
Cats would never.
Cats would be with you during chemo in your lap, hanging out.
Aw. It was a horrible time for her, and Patrick broke up with her because he didn't want to deal with the stress.
What did I tell you?
Yeah, this dude sucks.
When the going gets tough, he's like, gotta skedaddle.
Well, especially like what, he can't handle a cat jumping on him. Like, you're definitely like, okay, allergies aside, that's obviously a different situation.
Yeah.
But like, he's just like, he's not going to be able to handle anything.
Yeah.
Like any sort of.
Patrick sounds like he was handed everything in life and never had to wait and never had to work for anything.
Yeah.
And now when his partner gets sick, he's like, I'd rather not.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's pretty f***ed up.
Before Holly got sick, she and Patrick had plans to go to Hawaii for Valentine's Day, and she was really excited about it because she thought he was going to propose. He canceled the trip and dumped her 2 weeks before Valentine's Day, and while she had cancer, and made her abandon Waffles.
I was actually expecting him to be like, well, since you can't go on the trip to Hawaii, I'm still going to go.
He probably did.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I canceled
He definitely did.
And he found someone where he's like, I'll just get you the ticket.
Yeah. As soon as I heard about this, I bought one of those big red heart-shaped boxes of fancy chocolate, took all the chocolate out, and replaced each chocolate with poop from Waffles' litter box. I really took my time carefully trying to get little pieces of poop into the fancy liners in each compartment to make it look just right. Then I sealed it back up with a pretty red ribbon and put a little card on it that said it was from a secret admirer and sent it off to Patrick. I hope he ate it.
See, I would have, if I was going that far, I would have even done more to it. I would have
Chocolate covered.
Yes. I would have like melted chocolate on it and then like let it solidify and be like, oh, look at these like little nougats, right? Boom! Gotcha, Patrick.
Yeah. Take note, Valerie. Next time.
next boyfriend of your friend that dumps them. That's what you do.
Or just send Patrick that again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be funny if every Valentine's Day he
for
gets
the rest of his life he gets cat poop chocolates. Apparently, Patrick blew up Polly's phone when my package arrived, accusing her of mailing him the gift. But since I hadn't told her what I was up to, she was like, "I have no idea what you are talking about."
Plausible deniability.
Yeah, you gotta. Sometimes you gotta keep that to yourself.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like you gotta so that take one.
Unless you know that your friend's a good actor or a good liar, like you can't risk that.
Exactly.
I admitted to doing it when she told me about the text, and we both had a great laugh about it. I love that. I do wish they had been chocolate covered.
I just feel like that would be like it's like the Van Wilder approach, right? Like, oh, look at these like fresh donuts, and they're actually from the dog, you know?
Yeah.
I just feel like if you're going to go that far, just like a little bit extra to just kind of make it seem normal and then hope that they, eat shit.
Our next story is from Chloe, and it's what's the pettiest thing you've ever done from the deep dive ball. I slept with my horrible boss's girlfriend.
All right.
Okay. Let's see if it was justified.
Spicy.
I worked as a personal assistant for an entertainment industry executive. Justified. Definitely deserved it. Yeah. All right. When I first moved to Los Angeles, the guy was a complete jerk and a nightmare to work for. Anything anyone did wasn't quite good enough for him, and he'd always want me to fix it for him. If the cleaners missed a spot on the baseboards, he'd yell at me about how incompetent they are and demand I call them in immediately to clean again. If the cook made food he didn't like, he'd want me to call them in outside of their normal hours and get them to make new food. I had to be the bully boss for him by proxy, which I hated. Yeah, that sounds bad. Being a personal assistant just sounds terrible in general.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're doing everything for that person.
Yeah.
You're like, here are the appointments. Make sure to write this card. Send someone a phone, whatever it is. And also for like these people who, I don't know how much they're paid and how, what their hours are like, but they're hospitality in that sense. So like they're on the receiving end of a lot of stuff from other vendors and other clients.
This guy had a girlfriend who was often around, and he wasn't that nice to her either. He'd openly complain if he didn't like her outfit or objected to something she wanted to do. For example, I saw him tell her not to order a certain dish from a restaurant once because he didn't want her to have garlic breath later. You just both eat garlic.
Yeah. Keeps away vampires.
Maybe he was a vampire.
Oh, well, he was a blood-sucking asshole.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Got him. I was getting fed up with dealing with the guy and started looking for a new job, but continued this job while I searched. The guy's girlfriend was really pretty, and it was clearly one of those situations where she was with him for his money, and he was with her for her looks. I started getting to know the girlfriend because my boss would often tell me to meet him at his house at a certain time, and then he'd show up an hour or two after he said he'd be there. This left me plenty of alone time with the girlfriend.
Hey-o.
Nice.
Wow.
I am sure he thought it was fine to leave me alone with his girlfriend since we are both women, and he probably didn't realize I am gay. It's like your first mistake. You should never leave girls alone together. You never know what happens at our slumber parties. Any chance I got to be alone with the girlfriend, I flirted with her, and she seemed to like the attention. A few weeks into this flirtation, my boss asked me to pick his girlfriend up at the airport. He was not going to be home until late, so his girlfriend was going to be on her own for several hours. I like also that she's just going to be on her. She has nothing else to do.
She's like, I need a babysitter.
Yeah.
I don't know this area.
She's like, I'm just pretty. On the car ride back from the airport, she was complaining to me about how my boss had promised he'd be picking her up and taking her out for her birthday, and now she was spending her birthday alone at his house waiting around for him. She needs friends.
Yeah.
It seems like she's trapped in this house.
Yeah. Blink twice if you're okay.
Yeah. I was like, I'd never do that to my girlfriend. If you were my girlfriend, I'd take you out to your favorite restaurant for dinner and have you for dessert.
Ooh,
Hell yeah.
Ooh, that's a sexy line.
Get it, girl. She goes, yeah, I wish. I was like, I could make that happen.
Boom.
I mean, it's her birthday. What are you going to do?
I mean, live a little.
Like, come on.
Celebrate.
One thing led to another, and I ended up taking her out for dinner and then hooking up with her at a hotel. I was pretty close on landing a new job anyway, so even if my boss found out about this, it wasn't going to matter. I feel like this is the type of dude who just like wouldn't find out.
Yeah.
Unless she tells him, there's no way he's...
But even if they did tell him, I feel like he'd be like, yeah, Like, he would be like, so... It's like, what do you say?
Just like, nah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'll deal with that later. And
he's like, great.
I'm gone.
I got the job offer I was expecting 2 days later and quit my assistant job. I was very tempted to include in my resignation that I f***ed the guy's girlfriend, but just knowing I had was good enough for me.
Yeah.
I didn't stay in touch with her, but I hope she is still using him for his money while having actual fun with other people on the side. If anyone deserves that, it's him. She probably is, unless she's not allowed out of this house, which is not clear.
On a leash, don't go too far.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but sure.
But I'm curious, like, does she do this regularly? Because she's like, oh, this guy doesn't appreciate me, but I'm clearly here for the money. So in the interim, they
might have some like sort of arrangement. He's like, you just have to look pretty and put up with my bullshit.
Yeah.
But I'll buy stuff for you? Not a bad deal.
I mean, where do I sign up?
Our next story comes from Francine, and it is, what's the pettiest thing you've done? From the deep dive. I learned how to play the clarinet just to annoy my roommate.
I mean, do you have to learn to play the clarinet to annoy someone? I feel like just playing a bunch of notes,
just playing clarinet in general is pretty obnoxious.
I mean, hearing someone practice who is like very early on, doesn't know how to play, is annoying enough.
Yeah. When I graduated college, I got a job and lived on my own. However, after the pandemic and layoffs, I was seriously strapped for cash. I started a new job, but it didn't pay as well, and my lease was going to be up soon. I was talking to one of my coworkers about this, and she mentioned that she had a friend who was in a similar situation. Maybe we could be roommates. She assured me that she was a really nice person and probably wouldn't even be home that often since she had a new boyfriend. I decided to take her up on the offer and let her set up an introduction. I met Casey for coffee, and she seemed really sweet. I wasn't looking forward to having a roommate again, but times were tough, and we got along well enough. We agreed to move in together, exchanged numbers, and started looking for a place. The apartment we found was honestly pretty awful, a major downgrade from what I had been living in, but it was so cheap I couldn't say no. Casey and I signed a lease and moved our things in. The first week was fine, if not a bit awkward because we didn't really know each other. Then things started to go downhill.
Yeah, that second week you get comfortable, you start doing things.
Yeah, people start showing their true colors. Mm-hmm. Yeah, random roommates is a real crapshoot. Yeah.
Sometimes you can get lucky, but most of the time, you're not.
The best case scenario is that you both ignore each other.
Yeah, you're like, look, I'm in between this time and this time. I'm cooking here. I'm doing this. But for the most part, it's like, if you stay out of my way and I stay out of your way.
That's a great situation.
Yeah.
The first issue was that Casey took over all of the kitchen cabinets and the fridge.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
We had agreed to split up the space, but apparently she needed to buy Costco-sized bags of lettuce that would then rot away every single week. I would try to find space in the fridge to put my food, but she basically took every square inch for herself. I mentioned this to her, and she told me she would make some space for me, but that she was really into cooking, so she needed all the food she bought. I think I saw her cook twice the entire year we lived together.
I like how she's like, oh yeah, I'll make some space for you.
Yeah.
I'll just like cut out a little section
here. Especially after like you apparently previously agreed on this.
Also, it's not even, I don't even know why that's even a spoken thing. Like, you get a fridge, you get cabinet space. It's clearly like, I pay 50, you pay 50, so I get 50 and you get 50.
Yeah, we all know how this works.
Unless, of course, there's a moment where it's like, hey, I made this big dish or something, like it's gonna go over to your side, but it's only there for a few days.
Yeah.
You know?
No, not Casey.
Casey.
One day I came home from work and found all my refrigerated food just sitting out on the counter.
Oh, no. That is not cool. And that really pisses me off.
Yeah. It's so
like,
rude.
you know, there's so much effort you have to put in to be like, open the fridge, remove the items that were there to then put more items of mine in there. It's like...
To apparently not use.
Yeah. You wasted so much time to take over a fridge that you don't really use.
Yeah. I texted her and asked why it was all out. And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I went grocery shopping and needed the space."
What?
That's not how this works.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You
I just
need the
put
whole fridge?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'd appreciate it if you didn't leave my food sitting out on the counter. She never responded to that.
Is this conversation happening in person?
No, it's text.
Oh, okay.
Casey continued to regularly buy too much food, move my stuff into the tiniest corner of the fridge, or throw it out entirely, and then would order delivery every night. What is this person doing?
I don't know. There's a part of me that I'd be like, I would be so petty to just buy a ton of groceries. But obviously,
throw all her food away.
Right. Obviously, she's in a financially tight spot, so she probably can't do that. But I would be like, nah, screw it. And I would buy so many groceries. I would take all the stuff out and then just put it in a cupboard.
Next, Casey's boyfriend. My coworker had mentioned him and said she'd probably be staying with him most nights. Nope, he was always over, even though he apparently lived on his own. Why do you choose to be in a space? Whatever. Okay.
I hate this person. I hate both of these people. I hate Casey and her boyfriend.
Yes. It made no sense to me. Also, they were so loud. And when I say so loud, I don't mean sex. They would blast the Joe Rogan Experience on the TV.
Oh, what?
Not something I wanted to be listening to while I was trying to sleep. That's a choice.
I just can only imagine listening through a wall, hearing Joe Rogan say, "Hey, Jamie, go look this thing up. And then spread some wild conspiracy about something with the government.
I would rather hear people having sex.
Yeah, that's what I honestly thought. She was like, oh, when they're loud, they're loud.
Yeah.
And they're like, but it's not sex. And I was like, are they fighting?
No.
Somehow Joe Rogan is even worse than that.
Worse. I would rather hear fighting and sex. Let us know in the comments what you would rather hear. Casey continued to irritate me with her behavior, but the breaking point happened when she sent me a random Venmo request for $6.
Oh God, she sucks. She sucks so much.
I texted her and asked what that was about. She was like, "I noticed you ate all my mayonnaise. So I was hoping you wouldn't mind paying for it since I didn't get any." I was livid. I absolutely loathe mayonnaise. So no, I did not eat it.
Maybe go talk to your boyfriend.
Or
are you sleepwalking and eating mayo at night?
So much food.
Also, and I'm assuming this is like a Costco-sized tub of mayo.
I know.
How are you going through enough like that much to be like, you ate it all?
You ate it all. I text her back telling her this, and she was like, "Well, then I'm not sure where else it would have gone." All cheery.
Your stomach?
Yeah. Check your boyfriend.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe it's in the back of the fridge. She just responded, "No, I checked. If you don't mind fulfilling the request as soon as possible, that would be great."
I don't even live with this girl, and I feel like I'm getting the stress of living with this girl.
Yeah. I was on my lunch break at work and went for a walk because I was fuming. Sure, it was only $6, but I didn't want to pay for something I didn't eat on principle. Of course. And she's terrible.
Yeah.
As I'm walking, thinking about all the horrible things I wanted to scream at her, I saw a sign posted on a pole. "Learn to play clarinet. $50 a lesson. Clarinet rental included." It's a sign from the universe. And it dawned on me that this would be hilariously annoying. I'd always wanted to learn an instrument after all. I called the number and some 19-year-old kid named Jacob answered. He explained that he was in college studying classical music and was trying to make some extra money. He'd been playing clarinet since he was 12. I was like, great, whatever, I'm in.
Whatever, dude. Just give me the instrument, okay?
Yeah. After my first lesson with Jacob, he gave me one of his clarinets to take home to practice. I was awful. It was awesome.
Also, how many clarinets does this kid have to rent out?
I guess if you've been, I don't know.
That's 7 years of playing. You're like, I got all these old clarinets.
New clarinet every year. Anytime Casey and her stupid boyfriend were home, I practiced loudly and badly. I hope they heard Hot Cross Buns so many times it's still stuck in their heads today. That's like always the song. Yeah. One day, Casey texted me. At this point, we did not speak to each other in person and asked that I not play my clarinet at night.
Too bad.
Sorry. I have a recital soon. I need to practice. Sorry, I replied.
You could pay me to stop playing.
Yeah. You could move some shit out of the fridge. After about a month of this, Casey started staying at her boyfriend's place.
Nice.
Good job. She'd quietly slip in to get clothes or whatever else she needed from time to time, and I'd pull out the clarinet and practice. I like just committing to it anytime she's there. Just like, nope, don't forget.
There's like a real like Pavlov like conditioning happening. She's like, you show up, I play, you leave.
We obviously did not renew the lease. Good.
Bummer.
And after saving money on rent for a year, I was able to get a small place to myself. I also got kind of good at clarinet, so I guess the whole living situation wasn't an entire loss.
Yeah.
Now you play clarinet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good for you. I like the commitment to learning.
Yeah. But you have to be careful, because I feel like in that scenario, if she played long enough, she would get better. And the roommate would be like, oh, this isn't so bad anymore.
I like this.
So you have to stay bad.
Also, Casey likes Joe Rogan. She probably doesn't appreciate a good hot cross buns, you know? Our final story comes from Katie. It is What's Something Most People Don't Know About You from our original deck. It's my fault my sister failed a biology test her junior year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what'd you do? Growing up, my older sister Amy could be pretty mean to me. We're close now, but when we were younger, we had nothing in common. She was a straight A student, on the varsity tennis team, and beautiful. She seemed perfect in every way, and my parents had nothing but great things to say about her. I, on the other hand, struggled in school, was bad at sports, and had raging acne. Basically, I was second best to Amy in every single way, and my parents didn't do a very good job hiding their disappointment. That sucks. When I was in 8th grade and Amy was a junior in high school, my parents went out one night and left us home alone. I was sitting on the couch in the basement watching Lizzie McGuire and minding my own business when Amy comes in and says she wants to watch a movie. I was like, okay, well, I'm watching Lizzie McGuire. She rolled her eyes and starts looking through the movies we had. I knew what was about to happen. She was going to force me to watch some dumb movie I hated, even though I was at the TV first. So I yelled, I don't want to watch a movie. She turned and was like, are you yelling at me right now? I'm in charge. You can't yell at me. This is classic sibling stuff right here. Shut up. We were both older siblings, so... Are we on Amy's side? I don't know. I don't know what got into me. Maybe she had said something mean to me earlier that day, but I just started screaming even more, telling her I hated her and I just wanted to watch my show, and why couldn't she just go upstairs and play on her computer like a loser? Of course, she was yelling right back. It was one of those sister fights where you aren't really sure why it exploded, but now you're in the thick of it and you aren't backing down. Finally, Amy yells, fine. You want to just sit down here and watch TV? Have fun, and runs up the stairs and slams the door behind her. I remember thinking for a second that I had won, but then I heard something dragging across the floor upstairs.
Uh-oh.
And another thing, and another. I knew exactly what was happening, so I jumped from the couch and ran up the stairs. I tried to open the door, but it was stuck. Amy had barricaded me downstairs.
I mean, I love it and I hate it at the same time.
Yeah. I started screaming and pounding on the door, but I could hear her blasting music and knew I was stuck. I stormed back down the stairs and threw myself on the couch, crying. I could have just gone back to watching TV like I had wanted to before, but now I was furious. Then I saw it. Amy's backpack. She left it downstairs.
Ooh, Amy about to get it.
Here we go. I opened it hoping I might find something incriminating, like letters from a boy or maybe even drugs, so I could get her in trouble with our parents. And she just has some drugs.
I feel like we're on the complete ends of the spectrum here. Letters from a boy or drugs. Like, there was no in between.
There's no in between. She was like, I got you. Instead, it was just homework, books, and a take-home test she had for biology class that she had already finished. Of course, perfect Amy. And then it dawned on me, this was probably due the next day. She'd already finished it. She was going to turn it in and probably get an A. Unless I changed it.
Boom.
The test was one of those bubble sheets. It would be so easy. So I got to work and started erasing everything and bubbled in different answers.
Oh, man. Also, it's like you fail the test and you can't even use like, oh, my dog ate my homework. You know, you're like, oh, my sister refilled in the Scantron.
Yeah. The teacher's like,
What?
No.
Not gonna work.
Amy unbarricaded the door before my parents got home, and I calmly smiled and said nothing to them. I knew I had already won. 2 weeks later, Amy came home in tears. She had failed her biology test. My parents were disappointed, but honestly, I felt like they went way easier on her than they ever did with me. My mom was like, you must have just had a bad day. Still, listening to her cry about it through my bedroom door gave me a kind of...
She's like, the confidence and strength that I grew. It's like she's like Thanos, like collecting rings, and she's like, and that emotion I'll just tuck away here and gain this power now.
I feel like that's younger sibling. Like older sibling, you're just like mean right off the bat, and like the younger sibling has to like find a way to just like secretly torture you.
I feel like I'm going crazy.
What's happening? Listening to her cry about it through my bedroom door gave me a kind of joy that I can only describe as mildly psychotic. I finally confessed what I did to Amy a few years ago, and she laughed about it and said she had figured it was me, but couldn't tell my parents without risking getting in trouble for barricading me in the basement. She also admitted that she probably deserved it. I was like, you said it, not me.
Mutually assured destruction right there.
Yeah, I feel like a great sibling situation. Yeah. And also as an older sister, anytime my sister is like, you did this horrible thing, I'm like, yeah, you're right.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Sorry. What's the worst thing you did to your sibling?
Oh, yeah.
We want to know. That is it for Delve Deck Stories. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, you can like, subscribe, and check out some of our other videos. And if you have a story you would like to share with us, you can go to share.delvedeck.com.